Hello, guys, welcome back. Thanks very much for joining me again today, and Happy New Year. This year, 2024, is going to be a great year. I can feel it. Anyway, it's been a long time since I last recorded the previous video. There were a lot of things going on, and so it took time. I took time off to work on those things. Then I'm finally back to make more videos. And today, I want to take a look at some building a tool to generate API hooks using React Query. Back at work, I was working on integrating an application with some external APIs, which I didn't build, obviously. So then I had to create hooks for it, and it was kind of annoying to write the code to create the hook, to like for the API, then do it another. I kept repeating on it. It was kind of annoying. But I also noticed that there was a pattern that the hooks was following. So I decided to probably write a small tool, or it's kind of like a code for to generate the APIs. So I just put in the schema of the API and the endpoint, or how the structure is supposed to be, and it will generate the code automatically for me, and I won't have to write the code myself, which was a really great thing, and I thought to share that exact same thing with you guys. So that's what I'm taking a look at today. So we're going to be building this small little API generator, or API code gen, that uses React Query, and I'm going to use the JSON placeholder as a starting point to generate these API hooks. So let's get started. To start off, obviously, when you want to write a code gen, when you mostly want to have a unique file that your code or your generator can understand. So in this case, I've just created this API at schema.api, and that's what that is a special file that we're going to be using, that you write all your schemas and everything to generate, and then to generate codes. So it's kind of like the GraphQL code gen. Yeah, but since we are not using, if you're not using GraphQL, obviously, I'm sure there are tools out there, but I wanted to try to make it on my own to make it more uh, tailored to the specific uh, application that we are building, to make it much easier. I'm rather going to be using a external tool that might have to do some tweaks here. And it's also a great experience to learn how these code generation tools and all that are created. Obviously, what we're going to do here is pretty basic. It's pretty basic, and it's definitely not meant for like big open source softwares and all that. But you can definitely build on it for to make cool things with it. But just starting point nonetheless. Anyway, so let's get started. So what I would like to share is, before writing the schema, or the schema, writing the schema into the API schema. That's annoying. Just wanted to first, I would like to understand how the data that is returned from the server. So if you are using this JSON placeholder using the slash post, so it has an endpoint of slash post, or the actual URL itself is this JSON placeholder type equal stuff, and it returns an array of objects and each object follows the structure of a user ID, which is a number, an ID, which is a number, the title is a string, and the body, which is also a string. So that's basically the structure of the data that's returned by this particular URL. So you want to translate this exact same behavior into your schema file. So what you can write it any structure that you want, the format that you want. So let's say, for example, so in this case, I'm just going to say this is a type. So I'm kind of using TypeScript to get a clearer understanding. But you can say, you can try something. You can use something like model. Is up to you. Use whatever you want to use as a keyword. So this keyword is going to tell the person or the code gen that this particular thing is you want to generate some type for it or something like that. If you are generating TypeScript, or if you want to generate the JS docs too, you can obviously do that too as well. So, anyways, so we want to, let's say, let's use model. Using model kind of, yeah, like you're writing a database. That seems. Nope, I don't want to use model, so you're just going to use type for now. Probably you're going to change it along the line. Who knows? So you want to write the type for a single object. Like in this particular case, you have a single object. Let's say we have a user ID and all these kinds of things. So we want to give this particular object a name. So let's say we want to call it post. So we have a type which will be the keyword. So let's say, for example, so we have the type. Uh, let's see, so this will be a structure. We have the keyword that I want to deal with, and let's say the name, and probably you want to have your object or something like that. So this kind of behavior. All right. So we have our posts, which is this particular thing right here, and we bring in our object or the definition of this particular post. So we have our type post, and we want to put in the definitions. So we have first, we have the user ID. So we bring in the user ID. So that's the key, the user ID, and what is its type. So let's say its type is number. You can write this any way that you want. So primitives, you can make it at number, or you can, I don't know, give it a something, let's say int, or something unique to your own particular use case. What you want to. So let's say I'm going to use, I don't know, integer. It seems long, but it's fine. Say at integer, or you can probably change it as float. It depends on how you want it to be. So I'm just going with integer for now. The same goes for the ID too as well. So let's say, and we have the title and the body, which what strings, string. Okay, so as you can see, we have the user ID, the ID, title, and body all uniquely created. So we've defined a schema of a single post. And as you can see, we are not using any semicolons or anything like that. The reason for that is once each line, I want to read each line in this particular file to, each line will be separate from the other. We don't want to put them together like this. It's going to be confusing along the line. And let's say potentially I want to add several options over here. So maybe, for example, we want to say this is at optional, or optional, meaning that probably like this whole field, the user ID can be there or cannot be there. That whole key can vanish or something. It depends on how you want it to be and all that. So this is basically what we're going to be doing.